most famous route in the world. This is the road that instigated the automotive culture of today. It was the birthplace of the petrol station, the motel, the diner and the fast food joint, all of which have become an integral part of our modern day life. But it all started right here on Route 66. Starting in Chicago in the east, Route 66 traverses 2,500 miles through 8 states and 3 time zones to Journey's End on the west coast in Los Angeles. Having ridden this so-called Boulevard of Dreams some 6 years ago, I've returned to ride it once more, to meet the characters that live, work and play along its length, and to find out whether it's quietly been consigned to automotive history, or is it still one of the greatest motorcycle rides on the planet. I'm well into the ride now, having been on the road for 2 weeks, riding some 1,800 miles to here in Gallup, New Mexico. There has been some real lows, especially over the last 24 hours, when Route 66 eluded me. But overall, the road is everything I remember it to be, and a whole lot more. Thankfully, businesses are thriving all along the route, and there's a real feeling of rejuvenation and preservation of America's so-called Mother Road. A great example of this is the El Rancho Hotel here in Gallup. It's a world-famous hotel that exudes the Native American culture that the town has at its heart. You can just imagine John Wayne striding in here and shooting his way to the bar. Actually, truth is stranger than fiction, as the El Rancho was a favourite of countless movie stars and the odd president. This is my room, okay? This is the presidential suite. It's got a huge bed. Actually, a buddy of mine, okay, he runs a hotel. He said, don't go anywhere near bedspreads because you don't... Anyway, you know, when people first come into a room and they're all sort of rather romantic, take the bedspread off, he says. Anyway, look, this is the presidential suite, as I said. It's where Ronald Reagan stayed, you know, because actually lots and lots of movie stars stayed here because they shot films right from the 30s onwards out in them hills. And Ronnie obviously stayed here before he was president with Nancy. Hopefully not on this bedspread. But anyway, look, hey, I'll tell you what, I'll show you now. This is lovely. So the room's pretty dull actually, but big. But check out this bathroom. Isn't that beautiful? Yeah, I love this blue marble, you know, sort of little tiles, etc. and these sort of Indian things. It's really lovely, really special and individual. You could just imagine Ronnie standing here at his sink, Nancy at that sink. Hey, Nance, it's a nice negligee. You mind if I saddle up? Yes. Anyway, look, it's about $300 for the night here. But if you can't afford that $300, there is the motel over the way. Small, but perfectly formed. Out in the car park, the best thing about being on the road is meeting like-minded souls. Dave, Liz and Trevor are riding Route 66 with their own Harleys that they've shipped from a far-off land. You're from New Zealand. What are you doing here, Trevor?
We just thought we'd ride the Route 66. I've seen your show a couple of weeks ago, really.
Actually, by watching it, you'll have doubled my ratings.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Well, I implore people, right,
Yeah.
whatever which way they can is to get riding out here. Yeah. And you've done it kind of the hard way, but probably the best way, because obviously you can hire Harleys out here. But how easy was it to ship from New Zealand to here?
It wasn't too bad. It was a wee bit of paperwork. It was probably the worst.
Yeah, we had a guy that actually helped us.
Yeah.
So it is pretty easy.
It is pretty easy. It's not that bad, yeah.
And is Route 66 so far what you imagined it to be?
You see a lot of nice wee towns and yeah, it's good. And people are really friendly. We just going, you know, like everybody wants to talk to you.
Now look, you meet someone, you get the T-shirt. Hey, that don't happen very often, does it? But not only me, okay? I did tell them not to. They gave one to Sean. And Sam, which you can't, well, you can actually if I do this.
You have to show the back of it.
Right, now that's Sam, okay? Look at him, like that. Sam's just had a haircut, which you can see there. And I'll tell you why he's just had a haircut. Because we didn't know which way up he was. Because he had a beard down here and a skin and like that, and, you know, all that kind of stuff. And now he's just going to get sunburnt. Heading out of Gallup, it's a mixture of interstate and Route 66. My Saxon chop is in good spirits, perhaps proving that it's really the way to go, and who needs a luxurious Harley anyway? I've ridden thousands of miles aboard the beast, and we continue to be great mates. If I'm honest, I chat away to her all the time on these long rides. I guess it's funny how you can become so attached to a machine, but I'm afraid I have. The landscape is truly amazing, cooking under 120-degree sun. It's straight out of a movie. I feel like I'm riding my steel horse across a Hollywood set. It's what I've come here to be a part of. On the other hand, this terrain must have punished the weak and exhausted who traversed this land way back in the 1930s in their Model T Fords, striving for a new life in California, away from the abject poverty, Great Depression and the Dust Bowl that forced a whole population to head west from Chicago in the east. Soon I cross the state line into Arizona and head into the town of Holbrook. I was here on my last ride 6 years ago, and it's home to one of my favourite cafes en route called Joe and Aggie's, so it would seem churlish not to pop in and see how they're doing. And also I do remember this map of Route 66 with a great big star of "You Are Here." So look, we've travelled a lot of miles, man. Here, just go and have a look at this. So we've done Chicago, Springfield, St. Louis, Tulsa, Oklahoma City, Amarillo, just done Gallup. We're here. So we've got from there to the Sunshine State in Los Angeles. Joe and Aggie's is famed along Route 66 as the cafe that's been in the same family ownership for the longest period of time. It's great to see that today Alice and her husband are still keeping up the family tradition.
Mom and Dad opened it up in 1943. Mom and Dad retired in 78, and that's when my husband and I took it over. After a while in 79, the bypass went by, the freeway was put in, so that killed us a little bit. It almost killed everybody in town. It was very, very, very hard. But thank goodness we had your Native Americans from the reservation, which they had been coming to eat with us for many years, so that kept us alive.
Well, Alice, I'm so chuffed that you're still going and it's still going strong.
Hopefully, yeah. Hopefully we can still do it.
How wonderful to see Alice and her family continuing to thrive. This is the land of the big skies. It never ceases to amaze me how riding the American deserts makes me feel so small and insignificant. A good dose of humility never hurt anyone, most especially me. As I head further down the road towards Flagstaff, the azure blue is turning to a deep grey. Thunderstorms are looming. In July, the deserts have their monsoon season, so in the late afternoon, storms often bubble up. I'm making a detour off Route 66 to one of the desert's most famous attractions, and the foreboding skies only add to the eeriness of what lies ahead. How we missed the rain there, I have no idea. But what I do know is that we're here at one of Route 66's most incredible natural wonders. This is the world's best preserved meteorite crater, just 20 miles out of Flagstaff. It's the quite extraordinary result of a piece of asteroid hitting the desert rather hard some 50,000 years ago. What Eduardo doesn't know about this hole in the ground ain't worth knowing. Eduardo, this is absolutely mind-blowing.
Yes, it is.
Well, obviously a small rock landed here. What happened?
Well, it did land here. Actually, it slammed here. It slammed the Earth. They believe it happened 50,000 years ago. And our current theory is that it did come in from the asteroid belt that lies between Mars and Jupiter. But it came in at 26,000 miles an hour. Wow. And that's why it formed the crevice, the crater that you see here. The size of the meteorite wasn't really all that big, Henry. It was only about 150 feet in diameter.
But it made that kind
But
of
it made this crater.
Unbelievable.
It is. The crater itself is almost 3 miles in circumference, 1 mile in diameter, and 550 feet deep.
But it was traveling so fast.
So fast, as an example, if you were to get on an airplane in LA, you would arrive in New York in 5 minutes.
Wow.
Hop on that airplane.
Wow.
If the same meteorite, the same size meteorite hit a city, as an example,
Yeah.
like New York or Los Angeles, it pretty much would destroy almost the entire city just from the triggers alone. The
Right.
fires that it would start, it would be devastating.
All fascinating, but there's only so much physics an old biker can take. So how's about a quick game of trying to throw a stone the furthest using your wrong hand?
Here we go.
Don't fall off.
Go on, Sean. Don't go over either. Raspberry! That's where the people are!
Right, now you're gonna hit.
No, seriously, Sean, look!
I might hit someone. Quick, we're scared.
Right, Sammy, go on. Go on, my son.
At least it went straight.
That's fantastic. Riding to Flagstaff, the desert delights. There's rain clouds all about, but as yet, nothing's hit me. Flagstaff is about 10,000 feet above sea level, so the temperature drops slightly as one rides uphill towards the town. Flagstaff is still a transportation hub for the deserts, so there's always a mile-long goods train or two to keep you company as you reach the city limits. Once in Flagstaff, it's all a bit of a culture shock. It's rush hour and it's surprisingly busy. I wasn't really expecting traffic jams and potential death by pickup. Soon enough though, we reach our digs. Pretty odd to be in a town in rush hour after 2,000 miles of no rush hour at all. So this is Flagstaff. Oh, what a lovely day we've had actually. I thought we were going to get rained on, but we didn't. And we've met some great people, seen some great sights, and we'll see what Flagstaff has to offer in the morning. Next morning though, it's all gone Pete Tong. I'll give you 3 guesses where I am. Grimsby, Norwich, no, Flagstaff in the desert. And it's been raining all night, and the forecast ain't that great, which is a great shame because after a little bit of interstate, and then we'll come off at Ashfork on the way to Seligman this morning, then it's probably some of the best Route 66 riding there is on offer, and I hope the rain subsides. It's mornings like this that I guess makes the sunny ones even more glorious. Not only is it slashing down, it's quite cold, and the road comes complete with large patches of oil, so all the more reason to have stayed in bed. My chop, on the other hand, is predictable and strangely reassuring in the rain. Seems crazy really, with a front wheel small enough for a pram and a rear big enough to raise a family in. I was hoping that as I descended some 50 miles or so from the mountains to Ashfork, the weather would ease. When on Interstate 40, it hasn't. But turning off to Ashfork and the start of Route 66, at least it does seem to be at last drying out. Okay, well that wasn't very pleasant really, was it? Coming down off altitude. Yeah, okay, it's a bit rainy, but now look, right, we're on Route 66. We're here in